Well, folks, we have some breaking news, and it appears that Democrats will get their dream come true in the 2026 Senate elections in North Carolina. It appears as of right now that Roy Cooper, former governor of North Carolina, will run in the North Carolina 2026 Senate election. The former governor's choice will reshape this Senate race completely, with national eyes on this critical 2026 contest where Democrats believe they have the best opportunity to flip a Republican-controlled Senate seat in 2026. Now, Roy Cooper's Senate run decision comes after months of speculation, now fueled by Senator Thom Tillis, announcing that he will retire after not voting for President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. So today we're going to be diving into the facts behind this huge decision for Democrats in the 2026 Senate election. Now, we all know that Roy Cooper was North Carolina's Democrat governor from 2017 to 2024, left office in 2024, decided, due to term limits, could not run again. Now, national Democrats have long pushed for Cooper to run for a federal election, seeing him as a strong candidate in North Carolina statewide. He is one of few Democrats who can win statewide in North Carolina. Cooper's popularity among Democrats and independents make him a formidable candidate in the state of North Carolina. Now, there are some critical areas of him, especially when it comes to his handling of Chinese-owned farmland deals and potential liability that's associated with that. But ultimately, he is viewed as one of the most popular politicians in North Carolina, period. Democrat, Republican. Otherwise, he is probably the most popular Democrat in the state of North Carolina and the best opportunity that Democrats have. And I'm going to explain exactly why. Why? Number one, there's no incumbent in this race anymore. Thom Tillis is not going to run for re-election. They lose their incumbency key automatically. That's a big bump for the Democrat Party in this race, especially. We don't know who Republicans are going to nominate. It appears they could nominate someone like Laura Trump in this election. Ultimately, that is still to be decided at this point. But this is where it gets very, very interesting for Roy Cooper. Roy Cooper did something that very few have done before. First of all, he was the four-term Attorney General in the state of North Carolina. Won with 51% in his first election back in 2000. 2004, he runs for re-election, wins, expands his margin to almost 10 percentage points, over 10 percentage points in this election. The 2008 North Carolina Attorney General election shows him expand his margin even further. 2008, he wins by 61 percentage points. He wins 2.5 million votes. Remember, this is at the same time President Obama runs, wins the state of North Carolina, flips it, wins it by a third of a percentage point. He wins 49%. He went 49%. He gets 2.1 million votes in this race at the same time when Roy Cooper, an extremely, and I mean extremely popular Attorney General, wins 2.5 million votes in this election. Fast forward to 2012, he runs unopposed in the 2012 North Carolina Attorney General election. And then, of course, 2016 comes around, and that's when it gets very, very interesting. We're going to jump over to a different site here to look at this. 2016 is a very, very interesting year. Remember, Donald Trump runs. He wins North Carolina by roughly, 3.5 percentage points here? We can get an exact number if we jump here. Donald Trump wins the state of North Carolina 2016, about 3.5 percentage points. At the same time, in North Carolina, Donald Trump wins with 2.3 million votes, 49.8% of the electorate. At the same time, Roy Cooper beats incumbent governor Pat McCrory. He beats him by roughly 12,000 votes. This is a fifth of a percentage point that separates the two at this point. But Roy Cooper comes within striking distance of the same vote total that Donald Trump got. Comes within 50,000 votes. Now, we fast forward to 2020. Roy Cooper is up for re-election as the governor in North Carolina. We know this is a more favorable year on the presidential level for Democrats. Democrats flip Georgia, they flip Arizona, they flip Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Joe Biden wins the election with 306 electoral votes, 81 million votes, the most votes ever casted for a candidate in history. Donald Trump also receives the most votes for any sitting president in history with 74 million votes. But it was clear Democrats on the state level or on down ballot races ran behind Biden. Clearly, they ran behind Biden. Ben Lujan only wins New Mexico by 6 percentage points at the same time when Biden wins New Mexico by like 12 points, almost 13 points. Colorado, he wins Colorado by almost 15 percentage points at the same time when John Hickenlooper flips this, beats out Cory Gardner, but he only wins by 9 percentage points. You look in Michigan, Gary Peters only wins by about 1.5 points in his re-election bid in Michigan. At the same time when Joe Biden wins his re-election by close to 3 percentage points. So it is clear, Democrats did very well at the top of the ticket, but down ballot, they did not do as good, even when they won elections, even when they were flipping elections. They just did not do as good. Look in Maine. Susan Collins wins Maine. Joe Biden wins Maine by almost the same margin. He gets 53%. She gets 50%. She wins by 8 percentage points. He wins by about 9 percentage points. It is very, very clear here that Democrats did not perform as well down ballot as they could have. But look in North Carolina. Donald Trump wins in the state of North Carolina, the one toss-up election or race that Donald Trump wins in 2020. He wins with 2.7 million votes in this election, wins 49.9% of the electorate. Biden trails him by about 1.5 points here. But look at this. It gets very interesting. Roy Cooper wins with 51% of the vote, wins 2.8 million votes on a raw vote total in a state that Donald Trump won. Roy Cooper excels above Donald Trump's raw vote total by, 100,000 votes? Almost 100,000, about 80,000 votes. He runs ahead of Donald Trump in this election. So you can clearly see why Democrats are so hopeful that Roy Cooper would jump in this race. Because the fact that he can win on a ballot by 4 or 5 points at the same time while Donald Trump is on a ballot and can win by a similar margin. Donald Trump is winning in 2020. He's winning the North Carolina by 1.5 points at the same time when Governor Roy Cooper is winning in the state by 4.5 percentage points. Now do you see why Democrats are so happy that he is in this race? Remember, this is a guy that has been in North Carolina politics for almost 2.5 decades at this point. He's been in the House, before that you go all the way back, he's been almost 4 decades. He's been in North Carolina politics. He won his first statewide election 25 years ago. 25 years ago. He has never lost a statewide election since he's run. And it's clear the people of North Carolina like him. They like him. And they are not afraid to vote for him. They aren't. Even at the same time when they can support Donald Trump. They can support him by a 1.5 point margin. At the same time, they can support Roy Cooper by a 4.5 point margin. That's the reality of this situation here. Plus, you see, Democrats will not have to invest as much money in this state. We know that's true. Roy Cooper has his own fundraising apparatus in the state of North Carolina. A statewide fundraising apparatus that is second to none in the state of North Carolina. Democrats are very thankful they do not have to invest as much money in North Carolina. They can focus on other races. They can focus on Texas. They can focus on Georgia. And I probably should have thrown Texas out there first. They can focus on Georgia, defending Georgia. On Michigan, defending Michigan. On Maine, New Hampshire, Minnesota. These are the states that they're going to try and defend or that they're going to try and flip. As you can see here, this is our prediction, and we will have another video coming out soon, either later today or later tomorrow, talking about the changes in the Senate map here. We have a big change, and I think we all know what's going to happen here, but I guess if you've listened 9 minutes into this video, you deserve to know at this point. We are going to be moving North Carolina from a toss-up to a tilt Democrat state now that we know Roy Cooper will be running in this election. He will be running to replace Thom Tillis as the incumbent senator. But you can see Democrats push more of their money into Georgia, more of their resources into Michigan, maybe even more of their resources into Iowa, Nebraska, Maine, New Hampshire, Minnesota. They see many opportunities across the board here. Now, ultimately, even if Democrats hold on to Michigan, they hold on to Georgia, they flip Maine, they still only have 49 seats in this election. 49 seats to Republican 51. They'd have to flip another one. Maybe we see something very, very crazy happen. And in this election, as we all know, Dan Osborne running in the state of Nebraska. Maybe we see, what just happened? Maybe we see that he wins. He beats Pete Ricketts. I think very unlikely that we see that he beats incumbent Senator Pete Ricketts as of right now. But maybe, just maybe, do we see Nebraska? Maybe that's what we see. I should have picked a different color. I'm so stupid. I can't believe I just picked blue right there. But still, you get the point. You get my point. That's where we get into a very difficult situation here. I think it's very unlikely that they flip in Nebraska, but it could be something that's in play. Where else could Democrats go? Could Democrats go to Iowa? Could they oust Joni Ernst? Still, 50-50. J.D. Vance, he breaks that tie. And plus, you're going to be losing a lot of the members. You're going to lose a lot of members that were more on that moderate side of the Republican Party. You're going to lose Mitch McConnell in Kentucky, Susan Collins in Maine, Thom Tillis from the state of North Carolina. These were some of the big holdouts that have been what Donald Trump would describe as roadblocks to his administration, roadblocks to his legislative priorities at this point. All you would have left is Senator Lisa Murkowski from the state of Alaska. Now, I would say Alaska could be in play if Mary Peltola, the former U.S. House representative from Alaska, would run, but it sounds like she's going to be running in the gubernatorial election in 2026. But I still think it's very unlikely that Iowa goes to the Democrat Party. I also think it's very unlikely that Maine goes to the Democrat Party. I could see North Carolina and Georgia and Michigan potentially going to them. I feel like Republicans have an opportunity to poach somewhere here. But regardless, you can see why Democrats are giddy at the idea of Roy Cooper in this race. Look at the other states that they can pour money into. Look at the states, look at the opportunities that they can free up resources with Roy Cooper in this North Carolina senatorial campaign in 2026. But there's a lot of unknowns in this race. That is just a reality here. There's a lot of unknowns going into 2026. Who will be the Republican nominee? Will it be Laura Trump? Will she run? Obviously, she declined 4 years ago. She had young kids. The story's a little different. Your kids are a little older. Maybe is it time to make that move? Who will Democrats? Obviously, Wiley Nickel has declared and is running. Roy Cooper will most likely run. It seems very, very likely that he will be in this race at this point. But who will run on the Republican side? Laura Trump, maybe. Who else do we have? Pat Harrington? Michael Whately, former chair of the Republican National Committee alongside Laura Trump? Who else could run in this race? It is a very, very wide open Republican primary as of right now. If Roy Cooper jumps in the Democrat primary, he's going to lock this up. And you can see clearly that Thom Tillis, there's a good reason why Thom Tillis isn't running. Look, Thom Tillis barely beats out Mark Robinson in a hypothetical poll. The guy who lost in the 2024 gubernatorial election in the state of North Carolina by 14 percentage points, at the same time when Donald Trump carried the state by almost 3 percentage points. Well, how can this guy even be considered? Thom Tillis, 36% of people, a third of the electorate in North Carolina wanted someone else besides Thom Tillis. You could even say, if you include undecideds, 2/3 of the electorate wanted someone else. Laura Trump beats him in a head-to-head matchup by 50 points. But look at the polling. The hypothetical polling is clear. Roy Cooper has a structural advantage in this race. Although there hasn't been a poll taken since April, Roy Cooper was leading Thom Tillis. He also, in this same poll right here, showed Roy Cooper actually receiving a percentage point more support against Laura Trump than Roy Cooper. Laura Trump and Thom Tillis pull the same number of people, the same percentage of people in this hypothetical election. Roy Cooper does a little bit better with undecideds. He pulls 1% of those undecided voters to him, which 1%, that's all you need to tip this election. That's all you need to tilt this election. You can clearly see why Republicans are maybe a little scared, why Democrats are maybe a little giddy at the idea that Roy Cooper is in this race. You can see Race to the White House has this as a tilt Democrat seat. Everyone else has this a toss-up or a battleground state as of right now. We are going to see what happens, but there's just so much. We can't make any really definitive decisions or come to any conclusions as of right now because there is so much that is undecided in this race. But what we do know, North Carolina, the 2026 Senate race, Roy Cooper appears to be leaning towards a North Carolina Senate bid. Really, in an election that is going to make or break the 2026 Senate elections. We will have another video coming out later today on the 2026 Senate elections, some updates to our map based on new polls. Ultimately, folks, if you like the content that we put out, if you like the video, if you like what we're doing, what we're trying to do is deliver as much factual information as we can to you with the ability to argue with this. Look, I've told you before, I'm a little biased. My politics are center-right. I am biased. I make that very clear. I make that very well known. I try and deliver as much of the facts to you as I can, along with how I view it, what my opinions are behind this. This is not a nonpartisan show. This is a biased show. But I also try and deliver all the facts that we can. And if you like that, and look, I have no one else who's telling me what to say. I have no billionaire company that's telling me what I need to say, what I need to do, the agenda that I want to push. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and you should appreciate that. You should appreciate that we don't have people lying to you, that we don't have people getting paid millions of dollars to then push or promote something that maybe they don't actually believe in. And if you like what we're doing here, drop down below. The best way to support us and to support yourself by getting more factual information from our channel is to drop down below, hit that subscribe button, make sure you never miss another video from us again in the future, leave a comment down below, smash that like button so we can reach more and more people. And folks, and we'll just catch you next time. But seriously, drop down below. Let me know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the North Carolina Senate race? Maybe, where do you rate this? Is this a lean Democrat seat? Is it still a toss-up? Is it a lean Republican? What are your thoughts on how this race should be rated in 2026? Folks, we'll catch you next time.